Good morning, everyone. It is my honor and privilege to welcome all of you to today's Tamil Heritage Month celebrations, hosted by the University of Toronto, Canadian Tamil Congress, and Tamil Chair Inc. My name is Vidashini Paramanathan, and it is my pleasure to be your Master of Ceremonies for today's events. We have some great performances and wonderful speeches for you today. You can watch today's program via the following channels: Toronto Tamil Chair, Facebook and YouTube; Nero Dance Creations, Facebook and YouTube; Ta America TV, Facebook and YouTube; IBC, Facebook and your television screens; Anale Express, Facebook and YouTube; EET TV, Facebook and YouTube; Mon Tamil, Facebook and YouTube; Canadian Tamil Congress, Facebook; Krishna Live Telecast, Facebook; Valai Tamil, Facebook; Ninevugal, Facebook; Tamil America, Facebook; Namma Annachi, Facebook; Easy 24 News, Facebook; and Muttamil FM Facebook pages. We thank all media channels for hosting today's events along with us. Let us keep up with our tradition and start with the national anthem and Tamil Thai Valtu.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. வாழ்க நிரந்தரம், வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழி, வாழிய வாழியவே. வானமளந்த தனைத்துமளந்திடும் வன்மொழி வாழியவே. ஏழ்கடல் வைப்பினும் தன்மணம் வீசி இசை கொண்டு வாழியவே. எங்கள் தமிழ் மொழி, எங்கள் தமிழ் மொழி என்றென்றும் வாழியவே. சூழ்கலி நீங்க தமிழ் மொழியோங்க துலங்குக வையகமே. தொல்லை வினைதரு தொல்லையகன்று சுடர்க தமிழ்நாடே. வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழி, வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழி, வாழ்க தமிழ் மொழியே. வானமறிந்த தனைத்துமறிந்திடும் வளர்மொழி வாழியவே. வளர்மொழி வாழியவே. தமிழ் மொழி வாழியவே.
Thank you, Sarika and Magisha. The national anthem was sung by Sarika Navanathan, and the Tamiltai Valtu was sung by Mahisha Bahirathan. Let us now observe 1 minute of a moment of silence to remember all of those who lost their lives for peace and freedom, as well as everyone that we lost during this COVID pandemic. Thank you. Next, we have a dance performance by Miss Sweta Perarajasingam. Sweta is a well-known Bharatanatyam dancer who has performed in many stages in Canada, the US, and in India. Sweta is also a youth ambassador of the Harvard Tamil Chair. I'm very excited to now welcome Sweta Perarajasingam.
அகரம் எழுத்துக்களுக்கு முதல் என்பது போல ஆதிபகவன் உலகிற்கு அடிப்படையாகும். அகர முதல எழுத்தெல்லாம் ஆதிபகவன் முதற்றே உலகு. வையத்துள் வாழ்வாங்கு வாழ்பவன் வானுரையும் தெய்வத்துள் வைக்கப்படும். அகர முதல எழுத்தெல்லாம் ஆதிபகவன் முதற்றே உலகு. வையத்துள் வாழ்வாங்கு வாழ்பவன் வானுரையும் தெய்வத்துள் வைக்கப்படும்.
தத்தித்தாம் தஜம் தாம் தாம் தித்தாம் தஜம் தீம் தீம் தாம் தஜம் தோம் தோம் தஜம் ஜம் ஜம் தத்தித்தாம் தஜம் தாம் தாம் தித்தாம் தஜம் தீம் தீம் தாம் தஜம் தோம் தோம் தஜம் ஜம் ஜம் தஜனுத தத்தித்தாம் தஜம் தாம் தாம் தித்தாம் தஜம் தீம் தீம் தாம் தஜம் தோம் தோம் தஜம் ஜம் ஜம் தஜனுத தத்தித்தாம் தஜம் தாம் தாம் தித்தாம் தஜம் தீம் தீம் தாம் தஜம் தோம் தோம் தஜம் ஜம் ஜம் தஜனுத தத்தித்தாம் தஜம் தாம் தாம் தித்தாம் தஜம் தீம் தீம் தாம் தஜம் தோம் தோம் தஜம் ஜம் ஜம் தஜம் தாம் தஜம் தீம் தஜம் தாம் தாம் தஜம் தஜம் ஜம் ஜம் தஜம் தாம் தஜம் தாம் தஜம் தீம் தஜம் தாம் தஜம் ஜம் ஜம் தஜம் தாம் தஜம் ஜம் தஜம் ஜம் தஜம் ஜம் 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 தாம் தரி தரி தஜம் தண தண தஜம் ஜணு ஜணு தஜம் தாம் தரி தரி தஜம் தண தண தஜம் ஜணு ஜணு தஜம் தாம் தகதாம் தாம் ததாம் ததாம் ததகதாம் தீம் ததீம் ததீம் ததகதீம் தோம் ததோம் ததோம் ததகதோம் தஜணு தததிமி ததகஜம் தகஜம் தகதரி தஜம் ததண ததஜம் ததரி ததண தஜணு ததிமிதாம் தகதரி தஜம் ததண ததஜம் ததரி ததண தஜணு ததிமிதாம் ததரி ததண தஜணு ததிமிதாம் ததிகு ததிங்கிடதோ ததிகு ததிங்கிடதோ தகதிகு ததிங்கிடதோ ததண தஜணு ததிமி ததிங்கிடதோ ததிங்கிடதோ தகதரிகிடதோ ததண தஜணு ததிமி ததிங்கிடதோ 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 தித்தாம் தஜம் தாம் தாம் தித்தாம் தஜம் தீம் தீம் தாம் தஜம் தோம் தோம் தஜம் ஜம் ஜம்
Thank you so much, Swetha, for that amazing performance. It is youth ambassadors like yourself that have to lead the next generation of our Tamils into our culture and heritage. Next up, we would like to play the Toronto Tamil Chair theme song. This song was composed by renowned music director D. Aman and sung by super singer Divakar. Here you are, the Toronto Tamil Chair theme song.
எங்கும் தமிழ் எதிலும் தமிழ் எங்கும் தமிழ் உலகிலே முதல் மொழி தமிழ் என ஹரி ஹரி அதனை நாம் பயிலவே கிடைக்குமே முகவரி அறத்தோடு நாமும் வாழ தமிழ் தாயின் ஆசி வேண்டும் அவளை நாம் வணங்கியே அகமகிழ்வோம் உயர்வோடு ஊரையாள மொழி மீது காதல் வேண்டும் இணையில்லா தமிழை நாம் இருக்கையில் அமர்த்திடுவோம் எங்கும் தமிழ் எதிலும் தமிழ் எங்கும் தமிழ் எதிலும் தமிழ் பல யுகங்களை கடந்திட துணை என தொடர்வது நமது தமிழ் புது அறிவியல் புகுந்திட வழிகளை அமைப்பது நமது தமிழ் எங்கும் தமிழ் பல யுகங்களை கடந்திட துணை என தொடர்வது நமது தமிழ் புது அறிவியல் புகுந்திட வழிகளை அமைப்பது நமது தமிழ் நல்லொழியது தமிழ் பல்லுயிரிலும் தமிழ் எவ்வொலியிலும் இசை என இணைவது தமிழ் சொல் அழகிலும் தமிழ் சொல் முறையிலும் தமிழ் தெள்ளமுதென எவரையும் தொடுவது தமிழ் இலக்கண இலக்கியம் தமிழதன் தனித்துவம் அகத்துடன் புறத்தையும் அறியலமதனிடம் பல நூறு கோடி ஆண்டாய் புலவோர்கள் பார்த்து பார்த்து செதுக்கிய தமிழிலே சிறப்படைவோம் கனடாவின் தொடர்ந்தோவில் பல்கலையும் மேவும் ஊரில் அணிதரும் தமிழையே அனைவரும் படித்திடுவோம் எங்கும் தமிழ் எதிலும் தமிழ் எங்கும் தமிழ் எதிலும் தமிழ் பல யுகங்களை கடந்திட துணை என தொடர்வது நமது தமிழ் புது அறிவியல் புகுந்திட வழிகளை அமைப்பது நமது தமிழ் எங்கும் தமிழ் தொடர்வது நமது தமிழ் புது அறிவியல் புகுந்திட வழிகளை அமைப்பது நமது தமிழ் எங்கும் தமிழ்.
Thank you, Mr. D. Aman and singer Divakar, for providing us with the theme song for the Toronto Tamil Chair. You can definitely go to torontotamilchair.ca and donate now. Next up, I would like to welcome our first speaker, Professor Wisdom Teddy. Professor Teddy is a political scientist and a leading researcher on African diaspora, politics, and media, and is presently serving as the Vice President of the University of Toronto and the Principal of the University of Toronto, Scarborough. Professor Teddy has served as a consultant and advisor to various international organizations, including the World Bank, the UNDP, the Africa Capacity Building Foundation, and the International Association of Universities. He is an elected fellow of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. Now we welcome Professor Wisdom Teddy to speak.
Thank you, Vitu. Vanakkam. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us at today's celebration of Tamil heritage. Despite having to be physically apart right now, I'm very glad that we're able to come together today to acknowledge and to celebrate the vital contributions of the Tamil community locally, across Canada, and around the world. These contributions are important not only to our university, but indeed our country and the world beyond, as they strengthen the fabric and foundation of our missions, our aspirations, and our collective purpose, both academic and societal. In our recently released strategic plan, the University of Toronto Scarborough has boldly articulated its commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion as central pillars of everything we do. Our foremost priority is to create an environment where the world comes together for mutual good through inclusive excellence, where everyone feels a genuine sense of belonging and is given an equitable opportunity to make their best contribution to our academic mission. The campaign to establish an endowed chair in Tamil Studies at UTSC is a clear and powerful expression of that spirit of inclusion. I congratulate and commend our Tamil communities for their remarkable initiative, drive, and partnership to bring this chair to UTSC. As we inch closer to our campaign goal of $3 million, I'd like to express my personal as well as our institutional gratitude to each of our donors and every campaign organizer for sharing in our collective vision. It is exciting and inspiring to know that over 2,000 members of the Tamil community, through their donations, are helping to establish a remarkable hub for Tamil studies, which will mark UTSC as a leader of Tamil scholarship, teaching, and learning in Canada. I would especially like to acknowledge Tamil Chair Inc. and the Canadian Tamil Congress, particularly Sivan Ilanko and Appadurai Muthulingam, for all their tireless hard work, which has brought us to the threshold of realizing this significant collective vision. In finding a home at UTSC, the Tamil Chair will propel new scholarship in Tamil literature and language. It will create opportunities for distinguished research, for high-quality education, and for the kind of international collaboration that sparks new ideas, fosters academic partnerships, and sustains Tamil culture and heritage. We're confident that the chair will serve as a nexus for connecting Tamil communities far and near. Whether you're in the Greater Toronto area or in Singapore, India, France, or Sri Lanka, you will feel at home here at UTSC with a genuine sense of belonging within our UTSC family. I hope you enjoyed today's festivities. Thank you for your immense generosity and support. I wish you all a safe, healthy, and successful year. Mikavum Nari. All the best. See you soon.
Thank you so much, Professor Wisdom Teddy, for your kind words and contributions for the Toronto Tamil Chair. Our Sonna Madri in the Toronto Tamil Chair established நிறைய research, scholarships, and partnerships around the world create Dagam. So please make sure to go to torontotamilchair.ca and click Donate Now. Up next, we have an amazing instrumental performance by Shruti Balamurali. Shruti Balamurali is a renowned multi-instrumentalist, singer, and Bharatanatyam dancer, who is currently pursuing her undergraduate degree at the University of Toronto in the double degree BBA Management and Finance and BSc Statistics program. Shruti has performed on numerous stages in Canada, the US, and India, and has received multiple awards from several media and organizations. I welcome Shruti Balamurali.
நினைத்து நினைத்து பார்த்தா நெருங்கி அருகில் வருவேன். உன்னால் தானே நானே வாழ்கிறேன். ஓ, உன்னில் இன்று என்னை பார்க்கிறேன். எடுத்து படித்து முடிக்கும் உன்னை எரியும் கடிதம் உனக்கு கண்ணே. உன்னால் தானே நானே வாழ்கிறேன். ஓ, உன்னில் இன்று என்னை பார்க்கிறேன். அமர்ந்து பேசும் மரங்களின் நிழலும் நமது கதையை காலமும் சொல்லும். உதிர்ந்து போன மலரின் வாசமா பேசும் கொலுசின் ஒளியை அறைகள் முழுவதும் ஆண்டுகள் சொல்லும். உடைந்து போன வளையலின் வண்ணமா உள்ளங்கையில் வெப்பம் சேர்க்கும் விரல்கள் உந்தன் கையில் தோளில் சாய்ந்த கதை நினைத்து பார்த்தா நெருங்கி அருகில் வருவேன். உன்னால் தானே நானே வாழ்கிறேன். ஓ உன்னில் இன்று என்னை பார்க்கிறேன். எடுத்து படித்து முடிக்கும் முன்னே எரியும் கடிதம் உனக்கு கண்ணே. உன்னால் தானே நானே வாழ்கிறேன். ஓ உன்னில் இன்று என்னை பார்க்கிறேன். நீயே காற்றும் நீயே தூணும் நீ தோறும்பில் நீ வண்ணம் நீயே வானம் நீயே ஊனம் நீ உயிரும் நீ பல நாக்கடலே ஒரு நானே ஏக்கங்கள் தீர்த்தாயே என்னைய பிழிந்து உன்னை நான் எடுத்தேன் நான் தான் நீ வேறில்லை முகம் வெள்ளைத்தான் அதில் முத்தத்தான் ஒரு வெண்பாவை நான் செய்தே கண்ணே இதழற்றில் நீ எனும் தீர்ப்பத்தான் அது திருத்தங்கள் நீ செய்தாய் கண்ணே
Thank you so much, Shruti Balamurli, for that amazing performance with the violin, flute, and your vocals. Our next speaker is Mr. Sivan Ilango. Mr. Ilango is the president of the Canadian Tamil Congress, director of the Tamil Chair Inc. USA, and chair of the Toronto Tamil Chair Committee. Now, I would like to welcome Mr. Sivan Ilango to say a few words.
நன்றி விதுசாயினி. அகர முதல எழுத்தெல்லாம் ஆதி பகவன் முதற்கே உலகு. டொரண்டோ பல்கலைக்கழகமும் கனடிய தமிழர் பேரவையும் தமிழ்ச்சியா இங்க் நிறுவனமும் இணைந்து நடத்துகின்ற இந்த தமிழ் மரபு திங்கள் கொண்டாட்டத்தில் இணையவழியூடாக இணைந்துள்ள உங்கள் அனைவரையும் வரவேற்பதில் மிகவும் மகிழ்ச்சி அடைகின்றோம். Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the University of Toronto, Canadian Tamil Congress, and Tamil Chaying, I am pleased to welcome all of you to this year's Tamil Heritage Month celebrations and wish everyone a very happy new year. We are very much thankful to the executive team at the University of Toronto for jointly hosting today's Tamil Heritage Month celebrations as we all work together to establish a chair in Tamil studies at the university. Tamil Heritage Month celebrations not only creates awareness about Tamil culture among the diverse community in Canada, it also provides an opportunity for all of us to celebrate and pass down our heritage to future generations. Tamil language is an integral part of Tamil identity. I would like to quote a statement from a great Tamil scholar, David Suman, who states, spoken by 80 million people in South Asia and a diaspora that stretches across the globe, Tamil is one of the great world languages and one of the very few ancient languages that survive as a mother tongue for so many speakers. Tamil is more than a language. Everyone would agree such an important language should be preserved, passed down to the next generation, and shared with broader community. With that in mind, establishing a Tamil Chair in Toronto has been a long-term dream for many within our community and a founding mandate of the Canadian Tamil Congress. It was also the intention of Tamil Chair to support the creation of Tamil Chair in Toronto once the Harvard Tamil Chair campaign was fully funded. It was in March 2018, I was fortunate to have the conversation with the University of Toronto Executive Director about establishing a Tamil Chair at the university. Thereafter, Canadian Tamil Congress, Tamil Chair Inc. and the University of Toronto jointly signed the agreement in May of 2018, and we officially launched the campaign in June of 2018. Since then, we hosted several events with the support of our community members to raise funds for the Tamil Chair. Outbreak of COVID-19 presented us with the need to host online event, which has even brought further reach to the campaign with support coming from all around the world. During this pandemic, we were able to collect additional $1 million Canadian dollars, making our current total donation and pledges around $2.3 million as of today. I am personally touched by the overwhelming support from the people, not only in Canada, but around the world. We are also thankful to the executive of the University of Toronto for their continued support to this project and our collective vision to create Toronto as the internationally recognized hub for Tamil studies and research. I also want to take this opportunity to thank university executives, Professor Wisdom Tetty, Lizard Lehman, Celeste Richards, Nisbet Ahmed, Erin Wolflick for their continued support to the campaign. I also want to thank our community media who have been promoting the campaign and telecasting various online events. We are very much thankful to every single person who supported this historical initiative with donations and various other ways. With everyone's support, we are committed to fully fund the Tamil Chair as soon as possible. Hopefully, by the time we celebrate next year Tamil Heritage Month celebrations, we will have fully funded Tamil Chair at the University of Toronto. Once again, on behalf of Toronto Tamil Chair team, I thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you. Nandri Vanakkam.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sivanilango. Your contributions and dedication towards the Toronto Tamil Chair will not go unnoticed, and I'm sure that by next year's Tamil Heritage Month celebrations, we will have a Tamil Chair at the University of Toronto Scarborough campus. Our next speaker is Dr. Vijay Janakiraman. Dr. Janakiraman is the president of the Tamil Chair Inc. USA. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Janakiraman.
Taye Tamile Vanakkam. Hello, Toronto University at Scarborough. What a great day celebrating Tamil Heritage Month. What an amazing purpose. What a great gathering of people. I want to thank in the first instance, President of the University of Toronto, Provost, and several officials, in specifically Vice President Wisdom TT and Lisa Lemon, with whom I have been working for the past couple of years. We have a great journey since 2018. I would like to take a couple of moments to talk about it. As you may be already aware, I am Dr. Janakiraman, cardiologist, practicing in Pennsylvania. What do I do with this project? Well, at one day, I heard Tamil is one of the classical languages, and it is not being taught in a higher centers of learning in USA. So I set out a nonprofit organization called the Tamil Chair Incorporated and set the first target as a Harvard at USA Tamil Chair. And the journey started. During our conversation, I even had with one of the officials in Harvard, you claim yourself as the #1 university in the world, but you are not teaching one of the oldest languages, one of the classical languages. That struck a nerve. Then we had a negotiation for 6 months, and there we are. And we collected $6 million, gave it to them. They are in the search of the Sangam Tamil professorship. Meanwhile, for the first time, Toronto people, specifically Appadurai, Muthalingam, Yalangovan, they called me in December 2015 to spread the news about Tamil Chair and also for fundraising. During that meeting, an interesting conversation. One of the audience told or asked me, how come you're coming from USA for fundraising in Toronto for a chair in Harvard? We are living 300,000 people. Don't you think we deserve? That really hit my heart. I told them I was invited here. Once we finish the Harvard project, it's not only Toronto people, all around the world through me will have the contact. We will have it done. And according to the promise I made, our group, Tamil Chair Incorporated specifically, came and signed a memorandum of understanding with your officials in June 2018, and the journey started next step. On the first day of launch itself, fundraising, Tamil Chair Incorporated personally and their officials brought $300,000, and last month we gave another $100,000 to reach your goal. Right now, we are near the finish line. Here we are. Great journey. Why Toronto? Not only because the 300,000 people live there. It's very special to me as a cardiologist. Why? You are the first institution who found the hypothermia helps during open heart surgeries. How can I forget that as a cardiologist? More than that, your contribution is great to the world, not just because you produced 3 governor generals or 4 prime ministers or 10 Nobel laureates or 96 Rhodes Scholars. That's great. But you gave insulin to the world in 1921. How can any human being could forget that? You also found the stem cell in 1963, which is going to set the whole world with so many diseases. So you are very accomplished university in the world. You are number 1 in Canada. Well, our journey started in 2018, and at that time you are ranked number 20. In 2020, your rank went up, maybe because you accepted Tamil and going to set up a chair. So we both are growing together. And 2020 is a bad year internationally with the corona, but not for Toronto. You know that. You got $250 million that came to you from a person for medical facilities and faculty. So we are growing together. We are so proud to be associated with you. We are very thankful. Soon we will establish this. We will work with you. Thank you for all your help and recognition for Tamil. We will be joining and traveling together to reach further peaks. Thank you. Nandri. Vanakkam.
Thank you so much, Dr. Janaki Raman, for acknowledging all of our Toronto accomplishments and for joining us today for our Tamil Heritage Month celebrations. We are very grateful for your presence in our events today. Next up, we have another amazing performance by Sinmayi Sivakumar. Sinmayi is one of Toronto's well-known singers and has established herself in both Carnatic and cinema music. Sinmayi was one of the 6 finalists of Vijay TV's Super Singer program in 2018. Sinmayi has also shown her support by taking part in fundraising shows to bring a Tamil chair to the University of Toronto. She was honored to be on the University of Toronto's annual magazine. Please join me in welcoming Sinmayi Sivakumar.
மொழிக்கெல்லாம் வழித்தாய் பாரழகே அழகே தமிழழகே ஆதியில் உதித்த நீ அழகே உலகின் முதல் அழகே மொழிக்கெல்லாம் வழித்தாய் பாரழகே கல்லெல்லாம் தோன்றிச்சோ யார் கண்டார் அது மண்ணாக பரிணாம யார் உடைத்தார் நீ தோன்றாத அதிசயங்கள் தோன்ற முன்னே என் தாயாக பிறந்தாயே யார் படைத்தார் அழகே தமிழழகே ஆதியில் உதித்த நீ அழகே உலகின் முதலழகி மொழிக்கெல்லாம் வழித்தாய் பாரழகி சொல்லாத காவியங்கள் நீ இசைத்த கல்லாத மனக்கவலை தீர்த்து வைத்தாய் கொள்ளாத வீரத்தை உடனோட்டி பொல்லாத படைக்கலங்கள் சிவக்க வைத்தாய் தமிழது பேச்சென்ற மூச்சென்ற வீச்சிலை வீரத்தை விதைத்து வைத்தாய் தமிழது பேச்சென்ற மூச்சென்ற வீச்சிலை வீரத்தை விதைத்து வைத்தாய் இவ்வாறு தமிழினம் இருந்ததென்று வரும் சந்ததி விரல் வைக்க பால் கொடுத்தாய் அழகி தமிழழகி ஆதியில் உதித்த நீ அழகே உலகின் முதல் அழகி மொழிக்கெல்லாம் வழித்தாய் பாரழகி மானமே உயிராக எமை வளர்த்த தரணியிலே நாம் வாழ புகழானாய் வள்ளுவன் வாசுகி தனையேன்ற நல்லுயிர்களும் இசை பாட வரமானாய் கணியன் தந்தது பொதுமறைதான் என்ற ஐநா வாசலில் பொறிக்க வைத்தாய் கணியன் தந்தது பொதுமறைதான் என்ற ஐநா வாசலில் பொறிக்க வைத்தாய் நீ வந்து பிறந்ததாலே பிற மொழிகள் இன்று கலை என்று வலம் வர வகையானா அழகி தமிழழகி ஆதியில் உதித்த நீ அழகே உலகின் முதல் அழகே மொழிக்கெல்லாம் வழித்தாய் பாரழகே
Thank you so much, Sinvai Sivakumar, for that amazing performance that represents our Tamil heritage. Next up, we have a wonderful presentation by Dr. Brenda Beck. She will be speaking on the topic of Land of the Golden River, an epic-length story popular in the Kongu region of Tamil Nadu. Brenda Beck is an Oxford-educated social anthropologist who has spent a lifetime studying South Asia and in particular the Kongu Nadu area of Tamil Nadu. She has published 8 books, 2 of which are double-volume works, and she has contributed to editing many more. She has also authored over 60 journal articles. Dr. Beck has a passion for South Asian mythology. She has written a number of articles related to divine figures, including Indian goddesses and animal figures like the wild boar. She has also examined a number of human epic characters, detailing their stories and describing their related festivals. One unique folk epic, the legend of Ponivalanadu, has held her interest for over 50 years. Brenda is an adjunct professor of anthropology at the University of Toronto and president of the Sophia Hilton Foundation of Canada, a charitable foundation that promotes the use of storytelling in education at all levels. Her earliest ethnographic work, Peasant Society in Kongu, has just been translated into Tamil by Adayalam, a Trichy-based publishing house. In the past 3 years alone, Brenda has received 12 awards from Tamil community groups based in the US, Canada, in Tamil Nadu, and also Malaysia for her work in helping to deepen a worldwide appreciation of Tamil folk literature, especially by those living in the diaspora. Please welcome Dr. Brenda Beck.
It appears that there are some technical difficulties in bringing Dr. Brenda back, and we will move to the next item on the agenda, and then we will try and bring her after when the technical issue is resolved. Vidishaini?
Yes. So moving on, next we have two amazing songs by Miss Sarika Navanathan and Miss Mahisha Bahirathan. Sarika Navanathan is a graduate of the University of Toronto's Rotman Commerce program and has actively volunteered, worked, and performed in the Tamil community for many years. She served as the treasurer and president of the University of Toronto St. George Tamil Students Association during her time at UFT. She has performed in several languages and has brought her singing talents globally. Mahisha Bahirathan is a student, second-year Life Sciences at the University of Toronto St. George. Mahisha has participated in many competitions, such as Vijay TV's Airtel Super Singer Junior 2012 Junior 3. She is currently working on her own music and is also developing her knowledge in all types of music in hopes of becoming an established singer. Please welcome Sarika and Mahisha.
சரி சரி கபகரி சரிகா சரி சரி கபகரி சரிகா அமுதே தமிழே அழகிய மொழியே எனதுயிரே அமுதே தமிழே அழகிய மொழியே எனதுயிரே சுகம் பல தரும் தமிழ் பா சுகம் பல தரும் தமிழ் பா சுவையோடு கவிதைகள் தான் சுவையோடு கவிதைகள் தான் தமிழே நாடும் நீ பாடு தமிழே நாடும் நீ பாடு தமிழே நாடும் நீ பாடு தமிழே நாடும் நீ பாடு அமுதே தமிழே அழகிய மொழியே எனதுயிரே அமுதே தமிழே அழகிய மொழியே எனதுயிரே தேனூரும் தேவாரம் இசை பாட்டின் ஆதாரம் தேனூரும் தேவாரம் இசை பாட்டின் ஆதாரம் தமிழிசையே தனி இசையே தரணியிலே முதலிசையே உன்மெழுகாயுருகும் கரையும் அதில் உலகம் மறந்து போகும் உன்மெழுகாயுருகும் கரையும் அதில் உலகம் மறந்து போகும் பூங்குயிலே என்னோடு தமிழே நாடும் நீ பாடு அமுதே தமிழே அழகிய மொழியே எனதுயிரே பொன்னல்ல பூவல்ல பொருளல்ல செல்வங்கள் பொன்னல்ல பூவல்ல பொருளல்ல செல்வங்கள் கனைப்பலவும் பயிலவரும் அறிவு வளம் பெருமை தரும் என் கனவும் நினைவும் இசையே சேர்ந்தால் மரணம் ஏது என் கனவும் நினைவும் இசையே சேர்ந்தால் மரணம் ஏது என் மனதில் தேன் பாய தமிழே நாடும் நீ பாடு அமுதே தமிழே அழகிய மொழியே எனதுயிரே சுகம் பல தரும் தமிழ் பா சுவையோடு கவிதைகள் தான் தமிழே நாடும் நீ பாடு அமுதே தமிழே அழகிய மொழியே எனதுயிரே
Thank you so much, Sarika and Magisha, for those amazing performances. Next up, we have another performance by Priya Ratnakumar. Priya Ratnakumar is currently a disciple of Isai Kalaimani Jayaratnya Ratnakumar and Kalaimani Rajesh Vaidya. She has completed her Bachelor of Arts at York University and is currently a Senior Service Representative at the Bank of Montreal. Please welcome Priya Ratnakumar. Thank you so much, Priya, for that amazing Veena performance. Next up, I would like to re-invite Dr. Brenda Beck to speak on the topic of Land of the Golden River, an epic-length story popular in the Congo region of Tamil Nadu. Once again, Brenda Beck is an Oxford-educated social anthropologist who has spent a lifetime studying South Asia and in particular the Kongonada area of Tamil Nadu. She has published 8 books, 2 of which are double-volume works, and she has contributed to editing many more. She has also authored over 60 journal articles. Dr. Beck has a passion for South Asian mythology. She has written a number of articles related to divine figures, including Indian goddesses and animal figures like the wild boar. She has also examined a number of human epic characters, detailing their stories and describing their related festivals. One unique folk epic, the legend of Ponivalanade, has held her interest for over 50 years. Brenda is an adjunct professor of anthropology at the University of Toronto and president of the Sophia Hilton Foundation of Canada, a charitable foundation that promotes the use of storytelling in education at all levels. Her earliest ethnographic work, Peasant Society in Congo, has just been translated in Tamil by Adayalam, a Trichy-based publishing house. In the past 3 years alone, Brenda has received over 12 awards from Tamil Nadu community groups based in the US, Canada, in Tamil Nadu, and also in Malaysia for her work in helping to deepen a worldwide appreciation of Tamil folk culture, especially of those living in the diaspora. Please help me in welcoming Dr. Brenda Beck.
Hello. Hello, I'm very happy to be here and to tell you a little bit about my passion for Tamil Nadu and especially the area called Kongu Nadu. I went there about, let's see, it would be 50 some years ago now to do my PhD research, and I was living in a small village. And in that village, one full moon night early on, I heard the sound of a drum, and I went out to see what was happening, and I found a storyteller, actually 2 storytellers, speaking in near the center of the village temple there. And I thought, oh, this looks interesting. And although we did not have video cameras at that time, I did have a tape recorder. So I took my tape recorder and I asked if I could record the story. And they said, yes, we would be happy to have you record our story. I thought, oh, maybe it'll be half an hour. This turned out to be a 38-hour story. It was a wonderful story, and I've worked with it ever since. The story was actually published from Chennai in 1992 in Tamil and in English on facing pages in 2 volumes. But that book is now long out of date. It's almost impossible to find. And so I decided I must bring it out again because I want to share it, especially share it in the diaspora. So on the screen, you have a picture of the cover of my new book, and I'm now dividing it. This is just the English translation of the story. The Tamil original, which is how the bard told the story, I'm going to publish again with Adiyalam very soon, but I'm waiting for the English to come out because I want to match the pages so that if you're really interested and you want to look at both the English and the Tamil, you can go back and forth between the 2 volumes. So it's a little bit delayed. It hasn't come out yet, but this is what it's going to look like. Now, before we go on, I don't know why I'm not able to change the screen there. No, now it's changed too much. We'll go back. Okay, there we go. Here we are. Now, this is showing, of course, all of you know where Tamil Nadu is within the Peninsula India. But I want to tell you that this particular area, Kongu Nadu, was special because it's right in the interior and it doesn't have any seacoast. But the 3 famous kingdoms in Tamil Nadu and in Kerala, the Chola, Pandya, and Chera, they were all kingdoms that were dependent on sea trade. And so they had access to trade around the whole area, whereas this was an internal area that was somewhat isolated. And if you look on the right side of the screen, you can see it's kind of a bowl surrounded by mountains. And this is just one more set of maps to show you that although it was an interior kingdom, there were several very important trade routes that passed through Kongu Nadu and over to the coast on the Kerala side. And from there, there were boats going to Mesopotamia, to Egypt on the western side, and to Indonesia and China on the east. So they were linked into these trade routes and actually had a much wider connection with the world than most people imagine. But the people of Kongu Nadu have never really been ruled for any length of time by outsiders. And they're very proud of their independent status. And this epic story, 38-hour story, full of fascinating things, is about their own understanding of their region and their pride in the region. And up here on the map on the right side, you can see reference to Kodimanal, which is one of the very famous archaeological sites, which has yielded all kinds of jewelry, and a group of artisans working there who were really known very widely. They're mentioned in the Sangam literature, and they help us to understand the history of the important contacts that Kongu Nadu had with the rest of the world. Now, I want to jump from the sort of very high art of Kodimanal to the folk art of the Kongu region, which is absolutely phenomenal. And one of the very popular things that one can see in Kongu Nadu are these pottery horses. They're huge. You can see them in relation to people in a couple of these pictures. And you can also see a whole bunch of people lined up as statues around a temple compound, admiring and enjoying the festivals and the deities that are in the center of the compound along with the horses. And I mention the horses because the horses are very important in the story. The 2 heroes of this Ponnivala Nadu story ride these magnificent horses, which are kind of blue-black in color and have all these ornaments that shine like the sun. And horses were also, these pottery horses were very popular in the village where I was working, and so I commissioned a horse, and that's a picture of me in 1965 with this horse that I commissioned and gave to the local goddess. And since then, it's a long story, but I've been able to access two marvelous horses in my own backyard. So this photograph was taken in Canada, near Toronto, and I invite students from schools to come out when the weather is warmer and picnic and listen to the story and enjoy these two lovely horses that are there to this day in my backyard. Now, this is what I looked like in 1965. I often wore the local sari, which is wrapped in a different way from the more traditional saris, or more kind of common saris nowadays. And you can see on the right, this is inside my house. It was a very, very simple house. There was one piece of furniture in the house. That was the table on which I took my notes. And these are visitors who I had very frequently come and talk with me and teach me Tamil and share their lives. And of course, I was quite the phenomena in the village. And so people also wanted to come and just see what I was doing. And they often laughed at me as I struggled to learn Tamil. Just a few events. So this is, for example, the festival for the local Shiva temple, where we had a wonderful procession. This is during the wedding ceremony in April. And some of the landowners in the area who were all very welcoming and friendly and supportive of my research. But now I want to turn to the story itself. This is more or less what the setting looked like, where I listened to the story and tape recorded it over 18 nights. I had no idea. I had to use all of my audio tapes to complete the story. I had no idea it was going to take 38 hours, but I'm very glad it did, because it's very, very rich and interesting. And on the left, you see the main singer, the bard, who I'm greatly indebted to for sharing this marvelous story with me. And he actually sang with an assistant, and you see the two of them together on the right side of the screen. This is my tape recorder. Everybody was interested. They'd never seen a tape recorder before. The woman sitting there was smiling. She was my cook and companion, and she was sharing this with the children of the village. And then her son became my research assistant, and he's tape recording. You can see a microphone in his left hand there. Okay, let's just talk a little bit about the story. I can't, of course, tell you everything now, but there are 3 generations, and they're very important, the change that happens over 3 generations. The first generation are pioneers, second generation are landowners and small kings, and the third generation are heroic warriors. Now, this is important because it links very nicely to history in Canada and also history in many other places around the world, where pioneers moved in. They wanted to be farmers. They wanted to plow the land, and they struggled in the first generation. The second generation, they became established, and many of the landowners then became, recognized and respected people, doctors, lawyers, and so on, just like second generation immigrants to Canada often, become respected and important people. But the third generation, they no longer want to be farmers. They want to strike off and do other things. And in this story, they decide they want to become heroic warriors who protect their Kongu area kingdom. So that's a progression through 3 generations of men. Then we have the women, and then we have the gods. And I'm going to just show you this in pictures. Here's the first generation of pioneers. They cut down the trees. They established themselves with cattle, and they were especially focused on the plow. The plow was a new kind of approach to living on the land, and there's a lot of songs and importance given to the plow in the story. In the second generation, the family become well respected. They develop an alliance with the Chola king. Chola king is there recognizing the second generation, the son of the pioneer, and giving him a small crown and some special clothing. And you can see on the right how he's giving orders and acting as a small ruler in the kingdom. And then they built a palace with the wealth they managed to accumulate. And then finally, when their parents got old, their parents gave them the blessings to their children, the third generation, and those are the twin sons who are the warriors and the heroes of the story. And it's quite interesting here. You can see the warriors, they use spears and their horses. They also play what we call parcheesi, and they like to take chances, and they use this as an oracle or a kind of way of foretelling the future. And here they are dressed for war and with their swords. The women actually are, I believe, even more important than the men, but you don't see them as clearly in the story. In the first generation, the woman is a hardworking, very loyal wife. And you can see over here on the lower right, she does the seeding. She follows her male relatives who do the plowing, and she drops the seeds, which of course suggests that she's responsible for the fertility of the land. The second generation, we have a magical and devout mother. She discovers the cholam, or the maize crop, has jewels. And this is because of her devoutness and her hard work. She finds these jewels, the family becomes wealthy, but then she gives away most of the fortune to a group of beggars. So this also shows what a wealthy family should do, and that is to share the wealth with others in the community. But for reasons that I have not time to discuss, she is not able to bear children. So she takes a very, very long pilgrimage up to the heavens. This is a scene from Kailas, and she's begging Lord Shiva for children. And if you look very carefully inside this white circle, you'll see a little flame, and that's Lord Shiva placing 3 young embryos in her womb, which are later born as the 2 heroes and their sister. Interestingly, Shiva also gives her a golden pot, which is full of magical water, and she shares that water with any and all women in the kingdom who want to become pregnant. So she's a mother who also becomes a kind of mother to the whole kingdom by sharing this gift of pregnancy that Shiva has granted her. And then in the third generation, what's very important is that there's not just the 2 heroes, but there are 2 heroes and their sister. And their sister is responsible for magically blessing her brothers and helping them on their mission to protect the kingdom. Here she's blessing their swords, and later when they die, she has the power and the magic to actually resurrect them briefly for a time, so that she can share some ideas. And then finally, she constructs a shrine for her brothers and does the first puja. So she is the first priest in this line of folk temples. And it's, of course, I'm very happy to say that the first priest here is a female. And I want to mention the fact that these brothers are very different. The elder brother there in the green trousers, upper left, is a more gentle, calm, thoughtful brother, tries always to be empathetic and help people. The younger brother in the brown trousers is much more active, aggressive, and tries to defend the kingdom. And you can see through these pictures, each time the younger brother is the one to take the lead and to be the more aggressive. And you can see he's the one who wears the red turban, which is kind of indicative of his role. And when they throw this great spear to kill the wild boar, he's also the one who actually throws the spear. Then we have the gods. They're very interesting in the story as well. There are 2 main gods, Vishnu and Shiva, familiar to all of you listening, I'm sure. And they have their kind of typical personalities that are known very widely, of course. Vishnu is the sympathetic, a god who rushes down to earth and tries to help people, and enters suggestions and sometimes also offers magical help. Sometimes in disguise, as down here when he's dressed in blue, but you can tell by his color that he's actually a kind of avatar of Vishnu. And on the right, we see Lord Shiva. He appears much less frequently in the story, but he's very powerful. He's quite removed, and typical of Shiva, he spends his time meditating in the forest. This is his wife Parvati coming, begging him to please pay some attention to the world and not just be a meditator in the forest. And she manages to persuade him from time to time to take some action. So she's kind of a go-between. So the typical difference in roles of the two gods can be seen here. And also very interesting is that they're brothers-in-law. So they have a kind of a rivalry, as they do in the wider world, but also a strong connection. And so it's kind of a joking rivalry, if you like, or a kind of rivalry in which they don't go too far. They kind of balance each other out. And what's especially interesting in this story, down at the bottom, 1, 2, 3, and 4, is that when the heroes are born on Earth, Shiva asks Vishnu to give over his conch shell, number 1 and number 2. Shiva keeps the conch shell in what we would call in hock, kind of in reserve, as a control measure, until finally Vishnu brings the spirits of the two heroes after their death back to Kailas. And then in number 4, Shiva gives the conch back to Vishnu. So it kind of shows you that in this basically Shaivite area of Kongu Nadu, Shiva finds a way to have Vishnu cooperate, but also to be somewhat controlled by him. And then there are also 7 wonderful virgin girls, the Kanimar, who many of you will have heard of. And they're sort of like servant maids to Lord Shiva. They're very important in the story. These are some local shrines. They're very popular in the Kongu area. And the youngest of those 3 becomes the sister. Shiva, when he impregnates immaculately, that means magically impregnates the heroine, he places the youngest of the Kanimar in her womb as the sister-to-be of the 2 heroes. And this is the magical pot that goes down with the heroine, the mother of the heroes, and there she is sharing its magical substances with the entire area. Here are the 3 children, excuse me, in the womb, and the little girl is raised in the family palace, but because the cousins are jealous of the possibility of the birth of a son, the goddess Chalata grabs the 2 young boys who are actually born with clothes and with little weapons already in their hands. She takes them through a tunnel and raises them for 6 years under her own temple. And there they drink the milk of her tiger, who is her special companion and vehicle. So that gives these 2 heroes a kind of magical birth and a connection to the tiger. This is one of many folk shrines honoring the 3 heroes, the 2 brothers and the sister. Is a very common and very important pattern in the story. And that also leads us to the geography of the story, where you have the world above, which consists of Kailasa and the palace there, and also the council chambers. Middle Earth, where we have the wonderful river Kaveri, and that's why I'm calling the story Poni Valanadu. Poni is a name for the Kaveri River, and it is the feature that defines the Kongu area. And of course, the plowing and also the deep forests. So the lands on Middle Earth are a river, farmland, and forest. And then below, we have another whole realm, which consists of the cave under the temple of the goddess, and a deep deep kind of pond where the drum for war is stored. And also there's a cave that the heroes have to walk through. So there's 3 levels in the story, and they're significantly different in terms of the geography. There's a goddess for each level, Karukali, or the Black Kali, who guards the forest, Salada, who guards the agricultural lands of Ponivela, and Parvati, who resides in the heavens above. Salada, the goddess of the local lands, is especially interesting, and she is the kind of ecological goddess where when you worship her, the lands flourish and everyone is happy. But if you ignore her and the lands decline, she becomes angry. So it's kind of an interesting old-fashioned version of respect for the lands and respect for the ecology of the earth. There are also animals of various kinds associated with the different parts of the year, and also with the winter solstice, the spring equinox, and I haven't time to describe them all. I think I'm running out of time. But the animals are very important. They speak, and so they interact with the characters, and what they say is very interesting. This is a painting on a temple wall. Again, you can see the sister in the middle, associated here with the parrots, to the Madurai goddess Meenakshi Amman, and her 2 brothers, one on each side. More images of them in temples. And it's very easy to find these. There are temples all over the Kongu region that are dedicated to these heroes. The goddess Parvati is the creatrix. She actually initiates the story, and that's also interesting. It's not Lord Shiva, it's Parvati who does the initial creation in the story. And she is the one who is very interested in promoting the plow. And this couple of pictures now to show you how we've been using this story here in Canada, in the Toronto area. We've taught it in several schools and gotten kids interested in it, which is a lot of fun. We've even had exercises in the context of a gymnasium where students act out the roles of the various characters in the story. And these are the graphic novels I created many years ago, and they're in English and in Tamil. And this is a picture, if you can see what the graphic novel actually looks like. It's a lot of fun to read. It gives you all the images that you need to help imagine the story. And it was also animated in 26 episodes by a wonderful artist from the area, Ravi Chandran Arumuham, and it's been broadcast on Tandi TV and also on the Asian Television Network. And I have some pen drives available. It's animated in 26 half-hour episodes with an English soundtrack, and by choice, you can also listen to the Tamil soundtrack. So either language. I actually think the Tamil soundtrack is a little better. And we have broken the story into 26 small comic books so that younger children can read individual comic books without having to handle the heavy 26 episodes all in one. We've also had some dramatic performances. This one was at the Tamil Festival in Toronto, in Scarborough, on a big stage, and that was a lot of fun. And we had a huge audience. This was several years ago, and I hope one day we can do that again. And finally, I want to mention, there's no time to elaborate on the idea, but I see the relevance of these 2 brothers who are so very different in their personalities as going back to the very ancient Asvins of the Rig Veda, who pulled the sun's chariot. And they have a parallel in this story, and you can even see that the horses are reflecting the sun because they're pulling the sun's chariot. And the Ashvins also have different personalities, and that duality goes back actually to Mesopotamia as well, where the principle of Mitra and Varuna, or 2 complementary gods, is very important. So this story, in its essence, in its elemental themes, is very ancient and it's very unique. It's very different from the Mahabharata and other well-known stories in India. So it's very much worth studying, and especially good for students because it introduces you to a lot of traditional themes in Tamil culture. Again, the two horses in my backyard remind me of the heroes daily, and I love to have kids come out and get acquainted with them. So that's the end of my talk. Thank you for your attention. There's lots more to say, but no time. Do watch for my new book, The Land of the Golden River. And I'm happy to say that now the videos, all 26 videos, each half an hour long, are all freely available at this website address. And you'll find that in the Tamil Chair newsletter. So encourage your kids and friends to watch some of the videos. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye for now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brenda Beck. I'm sure, myself included, everybody who was watching learned so much about your stories and the Kongu Nadu region of Tamil Nadu. Thank you so much for joining us today in our Tamil Heritage Month celebrations. Next up, we have Professor Bhavani Raman, who will be speaking on the topic of building Tamil studies at UFT. Bhavani Raman is an associate professor of history at the Department of Historical and Cultural Studies at UTSC. She does research on the impact of British colonialism on education, knowledge, and social history in Tamil Nadu, India. Other than teaching a wide range of courses on history, including a course on Tamil World at UTSC, Professor Raman participates in and helps coordinate various projects concerned with Tamil studies at UFT. Please welcome Professor Bhavani Raman.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this program and share some of the journey at the UFT to build Tamil studies. So I want to thank everyone for inviting me. And I want to begin by saying that this current phase of this journey builds on earlier significant efforts at the UFT. From 2006 to about 2014, the late Professor Chelvanayagam at the UFT, Professor Cheran Rudramurthy at the University of Windsor, Dr. Darshan Ambalavanar, and faculty members at the UFT organized, along with the tireless work of many community members, volunteers, and students, an annual Tamil Studies conference to create a space for discussion around Tamil studies. I myself was a student, a graduate student at that time, and I remember coming and sharing my work and feeling very inspired by the vibrancy of the discussions in those spaces. Inspired by that work, we can understand, I would say, the current phase of the UFT to build up an infrastructure to create a vibrant ecology for Tamil studies. And by this I mean, I think we all realized participating in those spaces that building Tamil studies requires building good teaching, good research systems, and making these teaching and research systems accessible to students, researchers from all over the world, and to our community members. So there have been many efforts ongoing at the UFT campuses, big and small. Many people are working very hard behind the scene, members of the administration, my faculty colleagues, graduate and undergraduate students, and especially our librarians, our archivists, and our software developers. And I should also acknowledge the ongoing generous contributions of our funders, Dr. Ravi Guhadasan and Dr. Beck herself, who you just heard, in aiding some of this work. So what is this team and what are these various projects? We can think of it, I'd like to sort of share it in sort of three thematics, right? First, we have been able to restart Tamil language classes, which teach beginning and intermediate Tamil to our students. The response has been very strong, and we're hoping to build and grow this effort over the next few years. For as we all know, without the knowledge of Tamil studies is impossible to sustain at the university. The second is that UTSC Libraries is spearheading an exciting Tamil digital studies project. This project steward's documents and recordings to develop an intellectually focused digital content hub that will encourage Tamil studies scholarship and that relate to best practices involved in the building and using of digital archival materials. The initiative supports the intersection of the vibrant Tamil computing community that is global and Tamil research scholarship, and operates along the principles of open data. So their work of the project is available to everyone online as it rolls out. You're most welcome to go and visit our webpage. There is a Google community group that you can join if you're interested. We would love to hear from you. The third is that the university is building a special archives and library collection of Tamil materials. This is an extremely laborious but extremely important effort because we have tried, I'm really speaking for our library team here, to innovate around how to incorporate all these materials into our catalogs, make these catalogs available to everyone publicly. So you can think of it, at least I try to think of it as a library, building a library without walls. The special collections include the wonderful collection of folklore and animation built by Dr. Beck that you just heard about, the Annamarkadai from Kongunadu, but we're also in the process of building a remarkable collection of Sri Lankan Tamil archives, books and papers concerning literary and historical materials pertaining to Ilangai Tamil experience. Our first collection from this group will be launched later in February, 26th February, and it will celebrate the public launch of SJV Chelvanayagam's papers. The launch will be open to public. Thandai Chelva, as many of you know, is a towering figure for the Tamil community and especially dear to Ilangai Tamil communities. He was a parliamentarian and a leader of great importance, and his archive is truly a remarkable collection of letters, papers, documents, pamphlets that bear witness to some of the most extremely important events in post-colonial Sri Lanka that have impacted Tamil life on the island. So the papers are about him, but they're also a window into the world and images of many, many people who wrote to him, many of whom were ordinary and who got in touch with him to talk about the issues that affected them. So this would be an opportunity in the webinar that we will organize on 26th February to join us as we listen to some of the scholars who are working on the archive and to also participate in many other such initiatives that are ongoing at the U of T. Thank you. Nandri, vanakkam.
Thank you so much, Professor Bhavani Raman, for joining us today and explaining all the efforts that U of T is putting towards this Tamil chair at U of T Scarborough. Next up, we have our next speaker, Dr. Sambandam, who is a director of the Tamil Chair Inc. USA. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Sambandam.
வணக்கம். அனைவருக்கும் என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த வணக்கத்தை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். இந்த வாய்ப்புக்கு மிகவும் நன்றி. இது தமிழ் இருக்கை ஹார்வர்டில் உருவாக்கும் போது என்னுடைய அருமை நண்பர் ஜானராமன் ஆரம்பித்தார். அவர் வழிகாட்டுதலில் நாங்கள் உலகெல்லாம் சென்று பல தமிழ் மக்களை பார்த்தோம். அவர்களெல்லாம் மிகவும் உறுதுணையாக இருந்து அந்த இருக்கை நிறுவப்பட்டது. அது இன்னும் செயலாக்க வேண்டிய நேரம் வந்திருக்கு. இந்த நேரத்தில் இந்த டொராண்டோ பல்கலைக்கழக இருக்கை வாய்ப்பு வந்தது. இது ஒரு அருமையான வாய்ப்பு. ஏன்னு கேட்டாக்கா, இங்கே 3 லட்சம் தமிழர்கள் இருக்காங்க. அது ஒரு பெரிய உண்மை. அந்த உண்மை எப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னாக்கா பல வகையில் பயன்படும். அந்த இருக்கையை வளப்படுத்துறதுக்கும் செப்படுத்துறதுக்கும் அதுக்கு மேலே அறிவாளிகளை தமிழர்களையும் உருவாக்குறதுக்கு ஒரு வாய்ப்பு நிறைய இருக்குங்கிறது என்னுடைய ஆழ்ந்த நம்பிக்கை. அந்த நம்பிக்கையின் அடிப்படையில் இதுக்கும் நாங்கள் தொண்டு செய்துக்கிட்டு இருக்கோம். உங்கள் அனைவருடைய ஒத்துழைப்பினாலையும் இந்த இருக்கை வெகு சீக்கிரத்தில் உருவாயிடுங்கிறது எனக்கு சந்தேகமே இல்லை. இந்த சூழ்நிலையில் என்னுடைய அருமை நண்பர், உடன்பிறவா சகோதரர் அப்பாத்துர முத்துலிங்க ஐயா அவருக்கு உடல்நலம் சரியில்லாத காரணத்தால் என்கிட்ட ஒரு விஷயத்தை உங்கள்கிட்ட பகிர்ந்துக்க சொல்லியிருக்காரு. அவர் இது வரைக்கும் இந்த ஒரு லாஸ்ட் பீரியடில் ஒரு 90,000க்கு மேலே $900,000 கலெக்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கிறத எல்லாத்தையும் பகிர்ந்து சொல்லியிருக்காரு. அது அந்த பேரோட லிஸ்ட்டும் என்கிட்ட இருக்குது. அதையும் தயவுசெய்து உங்களுக்கு அந்த மக்களை நம்ம பாராட்டணும், அதை அவங்களுக்கு சிறப்பு சொல்லுங்கிறதுக்காக நான் அவங்க பேரையும் சொல்லி அவங்கள கௌரவப்படுத்த விரும்புகிறேன். இது $1000க்கு மேலே கொடுத்தவங்க லிஸ்ட் இது. இதில் பல பேர் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. இருந்தாலும் சில முக்கியமான மக்கள் கொயத்தோட்டம் அசோசியேஷன் $1700 கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. இன்னொருத்தங்க சரவணை சேவா சமாஜம் மன்றம் $1530 கொடுத்து உதவி இருக்கிறார்கள். அதுக்கு அடுத்தபடியாக பெருந்துறை வேலாயுதம் மகா வித்யாலயம் $1075 கொடுத்து உதவி இருக்காங்க. அதுக்கு அடுத்தபடியாக உடுப்பி மிஷன் ஸ்கூல் ஓல்ட் பாய்ஸ் அசோசியேஷன் ஒரு $5300 கொடுத்து உதவி செய்திருக்கிறார்கள். அடுத்தபடியாக S&B பேலட்ஸ் லிமிடெட் $10,000 கொடுத்து உதவி செய்திருக்கிறார்கள். அதுக்கப்புறம் யாழ் மெட்டல் ஃபேப்ரிகேஷன் ஐயா சொர்ணலிங்க ஐயா $10,000 கொடுத்து நமக்கு தொண்டு செய்திருக்கிறார். அதுக்கப்புறம் காரை ஹிந்து காலேஜ் ஓல்டு பாய்ஸ் $10,615 கொடுத்து உதவி செய்திருக்கிறார்கள். அதுக்கப்புறம் காரை ஹிந்து காலேஜ் ஓல்டு பாய்ஸ் அவங்களும் ஒரு சொல்ற மாதிரி $10,215. அதுக்கப்புறம் அண்ணாமலை யூனிவர்சிட்டி கனடா $50,000 அவங்களும் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. அதில் $35,000 முன்னாடியே வந்துச்சு நம்ம வருஷத்துக்கு. இது ஒரு முக்கியமான மேஜர் டொனேஷன். இதில் ஸ்ரீதாஸ் ஐயா பெரும் துணைவியாக இருந்தார். அவருக்கு என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த நன்றிகள். அதுக்கப்புறம் இது வரைக்கும் $90,000 நமக்கு பணம் வந்திருக்கு. இதுக்கு மேலே நமக்கு இன்னொரு $600,000 தான் கலெக்ட் பண்ணணும் நம்ம குறிக்கோளை நிறைவேற்றுறதுக்கு. இதுக்கு எல்லாரும் உதவி செய்தாக்கா இந்த கனவு நனவாகும். இது தேமதர் தமிழோசை உலகமெல்லாம் பரவும் வகைசல் வேண்டும் என்று பாரதியார் கண்ட கனவை நாம் புலம்பெயர்ந்த தமிழர்கள் நிறைவேற்றுறோம். இதுக்கு இந்தியாவிற்கு தமிழர்களும் உதவி செஞ்சுருக்காங்க. எல்லாருக்கும் நன்றி சொல்லி என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த நன்றியையும் வணக்கத்தையும் தெரிவிச்சுக்கிறேன். இதுக்கு அந்த வாய்ப்புக்கு எனக்கு மிகவும் நன்றி உணர்வுள்ளோட இருக்கிறேன் என்று சொல்லி விடைபெறுகிறேன். வணக்கம்.
Nandri, Dr. Sambandam. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for listing out our very generous donors who have donated to the Tamil Chair so far. If you would like to donate, please head to torontotamilchair.ca and click Donate Now, and you will also be able to donate and join the cause of the Toronto Tamil Chair at UFT Scarborough. Up next, we have another dance performance by the students of Srimati Janani Kumar. Please enjoy.
உலர்கின்ற பொழுது காட்டு உன்னகைக்கும் பூ காட்டு தலை தூக்கும் தளிர் காட்டு தாவி வரும் மலை காட்டு தமிழ் போல கொஞ்சுகின்ற நடை காட்டு உள்ளத்தின் உரம் காட்டு திறம் காட்டு நெஞ்சமெல்லாம் பொங்க கல்லில் உயிர் காட்டிடலாம் கன்னிமயிலே கல்லில் உயிர் காட்டிடலாம் கன்னிமயிலே காலங்களை வென்றிடலாம் கண்ணின் மணியே வடிக்கின்ற சிலைகளில் வாழ்வதெல்லாம் ஆ, வடிக்கின்ற சிலைகளில் வாழ்வதெல்லாம் துடிக்கின்ற இதயத்தின் உணர்வல்லவோ. தலைமுறை பல கண்டு தரணி போற்ற தருவோம் பல கலைகளிலே. கல்லில் உயிர் காட்டிடலாம் கன்னிமையிலே. காலங்களை வென்றிடலாம் கண்ணின் மணியே. பாலூட்டும் ஓர் தாயின் பரிவான முகமாகும். பசிதனில் பரிதவிக்கும் பாட்டாளி முகமாகும். பரத்தையர் பின் சென்று பாழான முகமாகும். சிரத்தினை கொய்தாலும் சிரிக்கின்ற தினமாவும். ஆட்டின் ஓட்டமும் அருவி ஆட்டமும் ஆடி காட்டலாம் முன்பே. காததாகமும் களத்தின் வீரமும் கலந்து காட்டலாம் கண்ணேல். முத்தம் கிடைக்காத மோகமாகும் காமன் கடை போடும் காமபாவும். பிச்சை எழுக்கின்ற அவலபாவும் பிள்ளை பறி கொடுத்த துயரபாவும். அழைப்பவனிலாது பழித்திட வராது அழகு கொடுக்காத கல்வி நமக்கே நடி. எத்தனை பாவம் உண்டு நடனத்திலே அவை அத்தனையும் அறிந்தவர் யார் உலகத்திலே. எத்தனை பாவம் உண்டு நடனத்திலே.
குருவினருட்கண் கிடைத்தால் அகநிதி கிட்டும். மனத்தில் இசைக்கும் இடையில் இருக்கும் மௌன வெளிக்கும் அளவு காலம்தான். அலைகடலும் முழுநிலவும் நிலவுலகும் அசைவதெல்லாம் தாளம்தான். அகமுழுதும் லயமடைய வைப்பதும் இசையோடு கவிதை கொடுப்பதும் குருவின் கருணைதான். இதை முழுவதும் உணர்வதுதான் நிஜம். சதாசிவன் பனிமாமலை மேல் மத்தளம் கொட்டிட தாண்டவம் ஆடுவான். இதுவே சதமாம், இதுவே லயமாம். நாம் என்றும் நம் ஆசான் பாதம் பற்றிக் கொள்வோம். தத்தும் திரைகள் எற்றும் கடலின் சப்தம் புரியவா. தொடும் சிந்தைக்குள் எழும் சந்தத்தில் லயம் சிந்தட்டுவா. நித்தம் இசை மலர சித்தம் லயமடைய முற்றும் சரணமென. நம் தொம் நம் தத்தித்தும் நம் தத்திங்கிணத்து 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 தத்தும் தத்திங்கிணத்து தத்தும் தத்திங்கிணத்து தத்தும் தத்திங்கிணத்து என்றும் நம் ஆசான் பாதம் பற்றிக் கொள்வோம். தத்தும் திரையில் எற்றும் கடலில் சப்தம் புரியவா. தொடும் சிந்தைக்குள் எழும் சந்தத்தில் லயம் சிந்தட்டுவா. நித்தம் இசை மலர சித்தம் லயமடைய புத்தம் புது கவிதை.
I will now like to invite Celeste Richards to provide closing remarks. Ms. Richards is currently the Director of Development at the University of Toronto, Scarborough. In the role, she leads philanthropic revenue generation in the Development and Alumni Relations Office. Celeste has a master's from the Ontario Institute of Studies in Education at U of T and an HBA in Arts Management and Music and Culture from U of T Scarborough. Please join me in welcoming Celeste Richards.
Thank you. The University of Toronto Scarborough is thrilled to be home for Tamil Studies at the University of Toronto and a leader in Tamil scholarship at the #1 university in Canada. I want to take a moment to thank our outstanding ambassador, Sivana Lanko, for organizing this fantastic event, Dr. Brenda Beck for her talk. Vithu, thank you so much for emceeing today, as well as our distinguished guests and our lovely performers for helping to make today's event so special. I also wanted to acknowledge the key organizations behind the Tamil Chair. Chair comes to us as a result of a partnership with Tamil Chair Inc., the Canadian Tamil Congress, two not-for-profit organizations which have been working tirelessly to support Tamil interests in Canada and internationally. The university values this partnership very much, and we look forward to our continued work together. The university is also appreciative and impressed by the Tamil community who have supported this initiative from across the globe. Seniors associations, business groups, alumni associations, friends, temples, so many of you have come together to support the Tamil Chair. To date, this has resulted in over $2.3 million raised towards the $3 million goal for the chair. Last year, we have seen tremendous momentum in the campaign, and now we're only $700,000 away from our shared goal. We are counting on your support to reach this important milestone. UTSC is committed to the success of this initiative. As we get closer to the goal, we grow more and more excited about the future of Tamil studies on campus and establishing U of T as an important hub within international Tamil scholarship. Thank you to the members of our development and alumni relations team, in particular Aaron Volek, Kashaf Mansour, and Nisbeth Ahmed for their continued support with this event and initiative. I'm also happy that we could co-host this event with Tamil Chair Inc., and that we're able to celebrate Tamil Heritage Month with you. Normally, we would host this event on campus. However, the online format this year has enabled us to celebrate with many more supporters of the Tamil Chair from around the world, and for that, we are thankful. Thank you again for joining us today. Vanakkam.
Thank you so much, Celeste, for those closing remarks. And lastly, I'd like to welcome Nathan Veerasingham, a board of director of the Canadian Tamil Congress, to say a vote of thanks.
Sorry for the, it was unmute. வணக்கம். உலகெங்குமிருந்து இந்நிகழ்வை பார்த்து கொண்டிருக்கும் அனைவருக்கும் இனிய தைப்பொங்கல் மற்றும் தமிழ் மரபு திங்கள் வாழ்த்துக்கள். Good afternoon. I would like to express our sincere appreciation to all of you for taking time to attend virtual event today. At this time, I would like to thank Sarika Navanathan and Mahisha Bahirdan for singing the national anthem and Tamil Thai Valthu. Thank you to Suveda Pararajasingham for doing the welcome dance. Thank you, our speaker, Dr. Brinda Beck, who gave a brief story about Konkunadu. Our sincere thanks also to amazing performers, Suradi Balamurali, Saimai Sivakumar, Priya Radhakumar, and students of Srimadi Janani Kumar. A special thanks to our MC, Vidisaini Paramanathan. Finally, we would like to thank the Tamil media channels for promoting, supporting, and telecasting today's event. Themadira Tamilosai Ulakamellam Paramumbakai Sedal Vendam. Nandri, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nathan Veerasingham, representing the Canadian Tamil Congress, for your vote of thanks. With that, our program for today concludes, but I would like to let you guys know of our next event in support of the Toronto Tamil Chair. Vibrant Hospitality Group and Kannada Cine Tamilose is jointly hosting Innise Varpugar. This event will be held on the 14th of February at 10 a.m. Toronto time. You will see performances from the renowned B.H. Abdul Hamid, Bamba Bakia, Mukesh, Surmugi, Varsha, Aslam, alongside Madan's Band and K2B Dance Studios. Please go to the Toronto Tamil Chair Facebook page for more details about this event coming up in the coming weeks. Please continue to visit www.torontothamilchair.ca and provide your support. Together, we can ensure the establishment of a Tamil Chair at the University of Toronto very soon. Every donation will make a big difference in our establishment of this chair. Ungal support and ஆதரவோடு இந்த Tamil Chair சீக்கிரமாவே in the University of Toronto Scarborough campusக்கு வரும். So please join us in celebrating our Tamil heritage and advancing it worldwide. Thank you everyone for joining in today and watching this amazing Tamil Heritage Month celebration with the University of Toronto, Canadian Tamil Congress, and Tamil Chair Inc. We appreciate all of your support. And a big thanks to all the participants and media channels for hosting this event alongside us. Thank you all and have a great year ahead. Looking forward to seeing you at our next event.